A few years ago, if someone told you they spent 3 hours playing video games every night, you'd probably think they were wasting their time. But today, I genuinely believe 3 hours of gaming is better for your brain than 3 hours of scrolling social media endlessly. Honestly, the older I get, the more convinced I become that video games are one of the last forms of entertainment that still demand your full attention. Nearly every app this day is competing for your tiny fragments of attention. TikTok's got your 15-second clips that just spam your brain full of dopamine. Instagram's just endless reels that never seem to end, of course, and X has constant updates about the world that's probably going to end. And YouTube Shorts isn't any different, just instant dopamine hitting your receptors 24/7. When you're playing video games, on the other hand, you're focused on one thing at a time. You're solving problems, you're making decisions, and you're engaged in a challenge. You can't really half play a competitive game while simultaneously watching 50 other things. It's just not how it works. The main point I'm trying to make here is that games give you goals, whereas social media gives you consumption. With gaming, you have clear tasks at hand: complete a mission, reach a new rank, beat that boss, learn a mechanic, or improve on a skill. Whereas social media is just consume, 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 just never ending. Even if the goal in the game is virtual, you're still working towards something. When I finish a gaming session, I usually feel like I did something. When I finish scrolling, on the other hand, I often wonder where the last 2 hours went. It's important to understand that games put you into a flow state. Flow being in deep focus, losing track of time, and being fully immersed in the experience. And video games are designed around this. Developers create these games in order for you to be immersed into this world and sucked in, where you don't give in to outside temptations or distractions. Unfortunately, the way in which the world is these days, phones and social media, it's this omnipresent, ever encroaching thing on our lives, and it's up to us as consumers to choose pastimes that put us forward and benefit us, and actually put us into a relaxive state as well. Most social media is the opposite: constant interruptions, constant novelty, and constant switching between apps. It's incredibly overstimulating for your brain, and it's probably the reason why so many of us feel like they can't even get to sleep at night, because they just have a million things rushing through their brain. Flow state is where some of our best thinking happens, and social media is almost engineered to prevent it. It's almost like when you're on social media, it inundates you with all of these things constantly back to back, where you just get left in this mind flurry where you can't even form a single thought. And that's why they want you. That's how they capture you, and that's how they capture your attention for longer periods of time. And you wonder where half your day went when you were just scrolling endlessly. Gaming is an active pastime, and scrolling is very much a passive one. And this is probably the strongest argument here. With gaming, it obviously requires demanding decisions, strategy, reactions, learning the game mechanics, all things that help you better get set up to play the game and become better at it, so you feel like you're actually achieving something. Whereas social media, obviously, you sit, you just watch and swipe, and you're not actually working towards anything. All you're doing is seeing other people living their lives, for good or worse, and you could even be comparing yourself to what they're doing as well. With gaming, you're participating in it actively, whereas on social media, you're just the spectator. One activity turns you into the main character, and the other one turns you into an audience member, pretty much. An important nuance to note here, without sounding extreme, is that gaming can become unhealthy. Social media isn't all bad, of course, and the problem is excessive use here. I'm not saying everyone should play video games for 10 hours a day. I'm saying if your choice is between spending 2 hours gaming or 2 hours mindlessly scrolling, I think gaming wins almost every time. The irony here is that for years, video games have been painted as this massive enemy, but in a world where every app is fighting for your attention and shortening your focus span, gaming might actually be one of the last places where you can still practice concentration. Maybe the question isn't whether video games are bad for us anymore, but maybe it's whether social media is worse. Back on a former point, another reason I think gaming wins is because it gives you a sense of progress as a whole. Whether you're unlocking new gear, completing a mission, improving your rank, or finally beating that level you've been stuck on, you're working towards something that's pretty tangible, to you at least. Sure, it's virtual, but it's still progress. Compare that to scrolling, on the other hand. What's the goal there? Watch another reel, refresh the feed, find one more funny video. There's never really a finish line. That's why scrolling can leave you feeling strangely empty. Hours just pass, but nothing really happens. When I finish a good gaming session, though, I feel like I've actually kind of accomplished something in a way. Maybe I got better at the game. Maybe I finally completed something I've been working on, or just got and lost endlessly trying to explore like an incredible world, like the one you see here in Mirror's Edge Catalyst. Gaming also has something that social media seems determined to destroy: flow. You know that feeling when you're so immersed in something that time completely disappears? That's called flow state. It's when your brain is fully engaged with a challenge that's difficult enough to keep you interested, but not so difficult that you just give up. Video games are brilliant at creating that feeling, whereas social media is almost the opposite. Every 15 seconds, you're interrupted by another video, another opinion, another crude joke, another ad. Your brain never settles into deep focus. It never gets the chance to, at least. And in a world where everyone's attention span seems to be shrinking, I think activities that encourage concentration are becoming more valuable than ever. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that video games are perfect. Playing for 12 hours straight every day like a chud probably isn't doing anyone any favors, but social media definitely has its place. I've definitely built friendships through it, learnt useful things, and it's literally part of my job. But if you gave me a choice between spending 2 hours mindlessly scrolling or 2 hours playing a game with my mates, solving problems, working towards a goal, and having a laugh, engaging my brain, obviously I'm going to pick that over the endless scrolling. It's funny though, for years, video games were blamed for destroying our generation, but maybe they weren't the problem after all. Maybe the real threat wasn't the console sitting under the TV, but maybe it was the device we actually carry around in our pocket every single day. Because these days, protecting your attention might be one of the most important things you can do. And oddly enough, video games might be one of the best places left to practice that habit. But I think the really interesting part isn't actually about the video games themselves, it's about us as people. Because social media isn't successful because we're lazy or weak, it's successful because it taps into some really basic parts of human psychology. Our brains over time have evolved to pay attention to things that are new, surprising, emotional, or socially important. Thousands of years ago, that was incredibly useful. Spotting movements in the bushes could save your life, hearing gossip about your tribe could help you survive another winter, and knowing what everyone else was doing actually mattered. Today, those same instincts are being used against us. Every time you refresh your feed, your brain is wondering, what's next? Maybe it'll be something funny, maybe it's something shocking, maybe it's a celebrity breakup or a video that just has to change your life. You never know. And that's exactly the point. Psychologists call this a variable reward system. It's the same reason why people keep pulling the lever on pokie machines, not because every pull gives you a reward, but because of, one time they might. Social media works the same way. You swipe, nothing's interesting, swipe again, nothing, then suddenly a hilarious video, a crazy news story, or a beautiful travel clip of the next destination you want to put on your bucket list. Your brain gets rewarded just enough to keep you chasing that next dopamine hit. The scary part is that the reward isn't even the content itself, it's the anticipation. It's like you're addicted to what might come next. Video games are different. Yes, they have rewards too, but they're usually earned. You beat the boss, you complete the mission, you level up because you've actually improved. There's a clear relationship between the player and the effort and the reward. Social media often removes that effort altogether. You don't create anything, you're not solving any issues, you're not achieving anything, you're just straight consuming. And I think that's changing us in ways we're only just beginning to notice. Have you ever found yourself opening Instagram, just closing it again, then opening it again 10 seconds later? Not because you wanted to, but just because your thumb did it out of automatic bodily habit. That's a clear habit, not intention. At some point, you've stopped making that decision and your brain's just made it for you. And that's what worries me the most. We're losing the ability to sit with boredom. The second we're waiting in line, we whip out our phone. 5 minutes before dinner, straight on the phone, watching TV during a quiet scene. Yep, the phone comes out. Even going to the toilet has somehow become an opportunity to check social media. We've become uncomfortable with having nothing to stimulate us. But boredom isn't the enemy. Boredom is where creativity starts. It's where ideas form. It's where you process your thoughts instead of drowning them out with endless noise. Some of my best ideas have come while driving, walking the dog, working out, or even just staring out the window aimlessly, to be honest. None of those moments would have happened if I'd immediately reached for my phone, and I think video games actually respect your attention more than social media does. That sounds weird to say, but when you start a game, you know what you're in for. You're there, you know what you're there to do. You're choosing to enter that experience, whereas social media doesn't really have an end to it. There's always another post, another notification, another recommendation. It never checks in on you, and it doesn't ask, have you had enough for today? It just keeps going. Maybe that's why an hour of gaming can feel satisfying, while an hour of scrolling somehow leaves you just wanting more. Not because it's fulfilled you, but because it never intended to in the first place. At the end of the day, I don't think the question is whether video games are productive, but the real question is, what is your attention actually worth? Because your attention shapes your life. Whatever you repeatedly pay attention to eventually becomes your habits. Your habits become your character, and your character becomes your future. If you're constantly feeding your brain 30-second clips, endless opinions, and instant gratification, don't be surprised when it's harder to focus on the things that actually matter. But if you're spending time doing activities that require patience, concentration, problem solving, and genuine engagement, even if that's playing video games, you might be training your brain in a much healthier direction. In a world where everyone's fighting for your attention, maybe that's the smartest thing you can actually do is to be intentional with your time and who you give it to. There's another reason I think gaming feels so much more satisfying than scrolling, and it comes down to something psychologists call intrinsic motivation. As humans, we're wired to enjoy three things: getting better at something, having a sense of control, and feeling connected to other people. Good video games tick all three boxes. You improve every time you play, you make decisions that actually affect the outcome, and whether you're playing with friends or complete strangers, you're actually sharing a tangible experience. Think about some of your favorite gaming memories for a second. I bet they aren't about unlocking a skin or reaching a certain level. They're about staying up until 2 a.m. with your mates trying to beat a raid or winning that impossible ranked game, pulling off an insane clutch that nobody thought was possible, or even just laughing until your stomach hurts because something completely unexpected happened or your friend just did something way out of pocket that would probably get him banned in any. I digress. Those moments stick with you because they were experiences, not just content. Social media, on the other hand, often tricks us into feeling connected without actually creating connection. You can spend an hour watching other people's holidays, relationships, achievements, and highlights, yet somehow end up feeling more alone than when you started. I want to know what you guys think as well. Let me know down in the comments your thoughts on this and why you guys have gravitated towards gaming as a whole in this day and age. Obviously, we're living through a bit of a dark time with gaming. The lack of physical media, subscriptions getting higher, the cost of living, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I still think that there's a really solid place and a foundation for gaming in a lot of people's lives as a whole. I mean, I, for one, grew up with gaming at the forefront of my childhood. My dad introduced me to the Xbox, original Xbox, in the early days, and I still remember going to midnight releases of Halo 2, Halo 3, Grand Theft Auto 5, and it was just such a monumental, uh, occasion to be going out and experiencing media like this out in the world. Whereas I just feel like social media is just this such present thing in everyone's lives where it's just, I feel like it's the only thing that a lot of people can gravitate towards is because everyone else is doing it. So I encourage you to break the mold a bit and sit down with your controller and your PlayStation or console of choice and just disconnect from the world for a few hours. And who knows what you'll find. Maybe you'll look a bit more introspectively into yourself and how you conduct yourself and your world behaviors, or rather than just sitting there passively scrolling doom scrolling on social media and having your external world and thoughts influenced by everyone else. This way you can form your own opinions and your own thoughts as well. All right, that'll about do it for today's video, guys. But if you did go on to enjoy, please don't forget to leave a subscribe and check out a few of my other videos. But that's all from me. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.